We're moving on to housing now. What we need to do is direct you away from this fact booklet about motions to your Standing Orders Committee report number 2 to Composite A. It's really, really heartening that a lot of people have managed to come together around the issues and present a motion that's agreed, which has saved us an awful lot of debate. So it's in the spirit of unity. And Felicity, are you coming to talk about this one? Thank you.
Felicity Dowling from Liverpool. A home is a fundamental need, and this government is challenging the right to a home, part of its project to bring about ever greater housing insecurity, to make us all feel that much more insecure, that much less ready to fight. The extent of the defeat of the movement, the defeat of the working class organisation, is shown clearly in the attack on council housing. Council housing is where we grew. Council housing is the welfare state in bricks and mortar, and it was sold off by the last Labour government. But this government has gone into our homes, has gone into the homes of the poor, has gone into the homes of the disabled, and has imposed this most cruel bedroom tax. Now, that tax was deliberate. It was like a bully going into the place where people were weakest. They went in to see could they defeat the working class in their heartland. It nearly worked. But people have regrouped. The tenants have got together again and have self-organised. They're not defeated. It's not victory, but we have step by step some victories on the bedroom tax. And it hasn't come from the Labour Party. It hasn't come from even the trade unions. So many, particularly Unite Community Branch, have helped. It's come by self-organisation of the tenants. We want to say that this government also flaunts its attack on the working class by the way it makes house prices more and more unaffordable for those who want to buy, yet massages its economics figures by giving out the Help to Buy programme, which just makes prices bigger. The very, very rich are able to take huge houses in London. Others are able to buy houses and leave them there. If you bought a house in London recently and left it for 1 year, you get a 10% return on your capital. And yet homelessness is ever greater. Who is it though that fights the case in the media for the homeless, for the people driven into the hands of cruel private landlords? It's left to the charities. The Labour Party has left the field. The TUC has not come into it. Housing has been left. Well, I said at our last conference, we cheerfully pick up the banner that's been dropped in that battle. We will be the party of housing, of decent housing, of housing which is big enough for families to live in, housing adapted to the needs of the disabled, housing in communities with proper recreation around it. We will build those houses. We commit ourselves to building a party that can win elections and that can move to being capable of building. This resolution says 250,000. Another resolution has said 500,000. We will build significant numbers of houses and we will beat those targets if we possibly can. But we will have to build a mass movement to do so. We will have to link with the tenants. We will have to link with the people putting time into the charities. We will have to link with the trade unions. We want a unionised workforce building those houses and building those houses under decent conditions. It's a huge ask to ask our comrades here and those who can't attend today to say, think that these houses could be built. could have decent houses for working people. Think that we could end the housing shortage, and by ending the housing shortage, end housing speculation. We need to enthuse people that this can be done. Left Unity is and will be the party of housing.
A wonderful rousing statement, and again thank you to all those people who managed to come together around that as a motion. We do have one amendment. Have we got the people, Lee Rock and Laurie McCauley? Are they here? Okay. Do you have 2 minutes to speak to your amendment? Can I just ask when people speak in the microphone, if you hear it popping, please can you move back a little bit because it hurts people's ears if they're on the loop. Thank you.
Conference Chair Lee Rock from the Sheffield branch Left Unity moving Amendment 16A. You'll find it's on, if you look at this, page 2, it's the fourth bullet point up. And it's merely to change the word affordable to token. So when we're talking, and I should add that in terms of the unity around the housing, I did have rather a lengthy motion that everything has been incorporated in one way or another apart from this point. So it's not just about me being sticky on this point. It's just I think it's quite crucial in terms of what we're arguing about, in terms of fundamental need for housing. Because the amendment we're trying to change from the word affordable to token. Because affordable for one person is extremely stretching for another person. It's not defined in the motion. And therefore people's circumstances change, people's circumstances are different, and you can have a situation where people simply cannot afford what was previously regarded as affordable, or what is regarded by some as affordable. And therefore, we think it's far better to have a token amount in there. Now, if we're saying that it's a fundamental need, a fundamental right, that people should be able to have a decent house, why on earth are we charging them amounts that someone else somewhere will define as affordable? That is problematic. We want everybody to have a decent home, a decent house. We want them to pay such a minimum. I would actually rather it was free, but actually it was thought better to have the word as a token, ridiculously small token amount that nobody gets into arrears, nobody struggles to pay, that nobody has a Tory council perhaps who decides in the South East where it's very expensive, that they decide what's affordable and what isn't affordable. Actually no council decides, it's token amounts, and therefore everybody has that opportunity for a decent standard of living when it comes to homes and houses and a roof over their head. So I would ask, it's only a minor amendment, but I think token is far more better than the wide-ranging term affordable, and therefore I would urge people please support this minor amendment. Thank you.
For that amendment. Thank you. Okay. So now we need speakers for the amendment, or against the amendment. Any speakers against the amendment? Okay.
Neil Williams, Milton Keynes, Left Unity. We discussed this in our branch and we were happy with the motion which is now incorporated in the Composite. We felt the right wording was affordable deliberately so that it could be made sure that people could afford it. And the question is this, are we looking at what we can put to supporters and voters in 2015 and a few years after, or are we looking at a future socialist society? This issue crops up throughout the day, and I think this is the confusion with those people that suggest it should be a token rent or token price for the house. If it was purely a token, those houses would not be built in the next few years. It's absolutely essential they are built. If after the war we could build 250,000 houses, then we can build them today, that's for sure. It's absolutely essential that Left Union is the party of public housing, and it's a major campaign issue for us. We must make sure it's one of our top priority issues. The Labour Party betrayed the working people on this issue, Left Unity will not. And we must make sure that they hear this message loud and clear, that we will build at least 250,000 public housing units at affordable rent. These are houses for our children. How many of them can't move out of their home right now? These are houses for the homeless, and in particular I want to emphasise the need for housing for the elderly. Too many elderly people are trapped in hospitals because we don't have the right housing units at an affordable rent, quality housing with support that the elderly need. In Milton Keynes we have what's called elderly villages, which is a very good example of what can be done for some people, especially if it's, and you can rent them as well, you don't have to buy or part own. That's just one possible solution where many others for the elderly. There's no one solution for the elderly that fits everyone, but it's important we have a range of affordable housing solutions for all people. And let's make sure this is a key policy. We push it right to the top of our agenda, but I think the right wording is affordable. Thank you.
Okay, we'll take one more speaker over here.
John Tillman, Stockport branch left unity. Can you hear me? Sorry? I'm speaking in support of Amendment 16A. I think the word token is very important. This is not a matter of putting ourselves beyond what debate could be at all. The concept that's underlying this is that of the social wage. The social wage arose out of the New Deal in America in the 1930s and out of the thinking that capitalism had, that it could no longer continue with the kind of free market capitalism that it started off with. And a lot of that thinking in the 30s and during the war in this country, the Beveridge Report, the Butler Education Act, the thinking was the social wage. That means that by providing services free to people, that actually you break down the wage nexus, because people depend less upon what they can earn by work, because they can be assured that they have things like housing, like health, like education, provided free or virtually free. And that is a socialist concept. This is not something which is new and which we have to invent. This is a battle that we can actually win if we actually argue on that basis. And I think 16A is very important. The concept of affordable is basically, it is buying into the whole thing, that we have to earn wages and we have to buy things as commodities from those wages. This breaks with that, and I think it's very important that we vote for 16A.
Are you okay if we go to offering space for people who put the composite motion together to come back and speak before we go to vote? Don't need any more discussion. Okay, does somebody from Composite A want to come back and speak again? Go straight to the vote then. Can we vote on the amendment? Can I have those in favour of the amendment, please? Thank you. And those against? Okay, the vote was 80, excuse me, this is going to just take a couple more minutes and then you can have your lunch. 81 for, 103 against, so the amendment is lost. Please can I go to the vote on Composite A? Those in favour of Composite A? Those in favour of Composite A? Thank you. Those against? That one's carried. Lovely. Thank you very much. Yes, that's brilliant. So we've caught up on a lot of time. Just to remind the Women's Caucus group that they're meeting at 2 o'clock and we're back here at 2:30. Thank you very much, everybody. We'll see you later on.